Hello, Market Rebels, and welcome back once again. Well, if you're going to trade options or stock for that matter, there are three terms that you've got to be familiar with, and that is the bid, the ask, and the size. Because in the financial markets, we really have a two-price system. There's a price at which you can buy, and there's a price at which you can sell. And then there's this third term down here called the size. So what exactly do these terms mean? And probably more importantly, where do they come from? Well, let's go have a look. So let's start by looking at a broker's platform. We're in the E-Trade platform right now, and let's go take a look at Microsoft. So here is the stock, and let's look way over here to the right. And right there, we see the bid, 308.91. We see the ask at 309. And here is the size, 5 by 9. So that's what we're going to find out in this video. What is the bid, the ask, and the size, and where are these numbers coming from? Let's start with a simplified hypothetical example. Let's say that we have an option, and it shows a bid price of $3.20 and an asking price of $3.30. Well, sometimes traders will give you a simplified definition, and they'll say that the asking price is the price where you can currently buy. So if you wanted to buy this option right now, it's going to cost you $3.30. The bid price, on the other hand, is the price where you can currently sell. So if you already owned this option and wanted to close it, you could close it for $3.20 right now. Or maybe you wanted to open a position with a sale. You were looking to do a covered call where your first trade is to sell the option. You could sell it right now for $3.20. Now, there's another term that you will often hear, which is the difference between these two prices, and that is called the spread. So in this example, $3.30 minus $3.20 is a 10-cent spread. So all things being equal, we'd like to see in the financial markets tighter spreads. We'd like to see these things a penny wide or 5 cents wide as opposed to $2 or $3 wide, which can certainly happen. But if you hear the term spread, this is what they're talking about. So back to the bid and the ask. It's okay to look at the quotes this way and say the asking price is the price that you can currently buy, and that the bid price is the price where you can currently sell. It will get you the right answers, and it's probably enough to get started. But to really succeed with options, it helps to understand where these numbers are coming from and how they're going to change. So to do that, we have to take a little detour and talk about a couple of different types of orders in the market. One that's called a market order and one that is called a limit order. Because as you're going to find out, these prices right here, $3.20 and $3.30, are limit orders coming from a limit order book. So let's start with a market order. Whenever you place an order to buy anything or sell anything, you get two choices. You can either place a market order or a limit order. So if you place a market order, it means that the order is guaranteed to fill. So as soon as you hit that enter button, you are the proud owner of those options or those shares, whatever they happen to be. But the market order doesn't guarantee the price. So the price that you're looking at, let's say $3.30 on that option, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get $3.30. It could move on you, and you'll see why in a little bit. But the good news is that you will definitely be the buyer or the seller. That's the good part about a market order. The downside is that you can't be 100% sure at which price you're going to get. Now, is it going to be radically different from the price you're seeing on the screen? Probably not. But the main thing to understand is that it's not necessarily going to be exactly the bid or the ask that you're looking at the time you place the order. The better way to understand a market order is that you are going to get the best prevailing price when your order is received. So as soon as you hit that enter button on your computer, it gets sent off to an exchange. You're going to sit in line somewhere, which will make more sense in a little bit. And as soon as that order is received, it's going to get filled at the best prevailing price at that moment. So that's the market orders. What about a limit order? Well, limit orders do just the opposite. They guarantee the price, but in exchange, it doesn't guarantee the fill. So what you're going to do with a limit order is you are going to specify a price at which you're willing to buy or sell. You're going to name your price. So for instance, let's say that you place an order to buy 5 ABC $100 calls, and you go in your broker's platform and say at a limit of 5. And what that means is that the order can only get filled at $5 or less. So the exchanges are saying that if you're naming a price of 5, that's your highest price, that you should be happy if you get $4.90 or $4.80. You should be happier with a lower price. So just because you placed a limit of 5 doesn't mean it has to get filled for exactly 5. That's just the highest price. Well, what if you were selling? Now it works in a similar way, just in the opposite direction. Let's say that you were placing an order to sell 5 of these ABC $100 calls. You go on your broker's platform, you say at a limit of 5. And what this is saying is that this is the minimum price at which you'll sell. So now it can only get filled at $5 or more. So once again, the exchanges are saying if you're willing to accept 5, you should be even happier if you get $5.10 or $5.20 or some other price above it. So once again, just because you have a limit of 5 doesn't mean it has to be filled for exactly 5. If you are a seller, that's just the minimum price. So this is how limit orders work. You're going to name a price. The good news is you know that you're going to get your named price or a more favorable price. The downside is you might not get it filled. So the whole challenge for the decision between market orders versus limit orders comes down to this. You can either guarantee the fill or the price, but not both. Now it should go without saying, but sometimes traders ask this, why can't you guarantee both? Well, that would really be too good to be true. Let's say the stock is trading for 100. You could type in an order to buy at a limit of 95 and be guaranteed to get it filled. And then you could turn right around and type another order to sell at a limit of 105 and be guaranteed to get it filled. So needless to say, in a matter of minutes, you could surpass the wealth of Bill Gates and Warren Buffett combined. This would be way too good to be true. So again, it's either you get the order filled with a market order, or you get your named price, but maybe risk not getting filled. Okay, so that's a little bit of the backstory of where these numbers are coming from. You have to understand the two types of orders of a market order and a limit order. So when you are looking at the bid and the ask, what you're looking at is limit orders. These are coming from what's called a limit order book. And the bid price is the highest price that someone is willing to pay at that very moment. The asking price is the lowest price at which someone is willing to sell at that very moment. Sometimes you're going to see the asking price called the offer price. They're just two different words that mean exactly the same thing. Some brokers, platforms are going to show the bid and the offer. Don't let it fool you, it's exactly the same thing. So the main thing to understand is that buyers place bids and sellers place offers. So think of it like in an auction. If you are at an auction, you are submitting bids. Look at eBay, it's an auction market. eBay is going to ask you to submit a bid. Buyers place bids. On the other hand, if you're the seller of something, you would say it's being offered at such and such a price. So the main thing to understand is that buyers place bids, sellers place offers. That's going to be important as we go through this video. So to see how these numbers come into play, let's start with a fresh slate. Let's say we're at an exchange, and this is what's called a limit order book. And the exchange is in charge of keeping track of this. It makes a lot more sense to have every single order in one central location so that we can see who is the highest bidder and the lowest offer. But to make it a little easier to follow, I'm going to wipe the slate clean. It's never going to be this clean in the real world, but let's pretend that there are absolutely no orders on the book right now. So if you were at an exchange, you would see what's called a limit order book, and you would see a bid on one side and an asking price on the other. And as orders come in from various brokerage firms, they will start to get stacked in here. And here's how it works. Let's say that some trader somewhere at some brokerage firm, we really have no idea where, but he places an order to, let's say, buy 5 of these contracts at a limit of 3. So this is for a particular contract that we're looking at. We're looking at the bid and the offer for a specific contract or for specific shares of stock. So because he is a buyer, he's going to get stacked over here on the bid side. Remember, buyers place bids. So he has an order to buy 5 contracts, that's the quantity, at a price of 3. So he can only get filled at a price of exactly 3 or lower. So he's going to sit over here. It's going to show price of 3, and right next to it the number of contracts that he's willing to buy. Another order comes in, again, from somewhere, some broker, we don't even know where, but it's all getting filtered into this exchange. And this order is to buy 2 contracts at a limit price of $2.90. So the thing that you have to understand is, all things being equal, we'd rather see people who are bidding high, what we call a stronger bidder. So the computer program is going to say, okay, well, we can't just trash this guy's order and pretend it doesn't exist. We need to account for it. We've got to record it. But he's not submitting as high of a bid as the person who submitted at 3. So he's going to get stacked below, and it's going to get shown as a price of $2.90 for 2 contracts. Another trader places an order to sell 8 contracts at a limit of $3.50. So remember, sellers place asking prices or offer prices. So this order is going to get stacked over on the asking side, and the computer program is going to stack him on top for reasons that you'll see in a minute. So we're going to see a limit of $3.50 for 8 contracts. So remember, this trader can only get filled for $3.50 or higher. Okay, so he's now recorded in the limit order book. Another trader comes in to sell 5 at $3.60. So all things being equal, we'd rather see people who are willing to sell for less. Anybody can place an arbitrarily high price. To make a really active market, we want to know who's willing to sell for the least or bid for the most. So now, who is the stronger seller between these two? The person willing to sell for $3.50 or the person willing to sell for $3.60? Obviously, the person at $3.50 is a stronger seller, so this person is going to get stacked above. So it's going to show sell 5 contracts at a limit of $3.60. So we would see a limit of $3.60 for 5 contracts. Now, incidentally, if 2 traders happen to come in with the same prices, let's say this guy right here came in at $3.50, then the system goes to what's called time priority. This person had the order in first, so this trader would still keep his place here because he had his order in at an earlier time, and this person would be stacked on top even though it's at the same price. All right, so let's try another one. Another trader comes in to buy 7 contracts at $2.95. Where should this person get stacked? Well, it's a buy order, so it should be over on the bid, but what about the price, $2.95? It's not as high as 3, but it is higher than $2.90. So you probably guessed it. He's going to get wedged in between these two, and he'll show up as a limit of $2.95 for 7 contracts. Another trader comes in, let's say, to sell 10 at $3.70. He's a seller. He's going to get stacked over here on the asking side. But where? Well, again, all things being equal, we'd rather see people willing to sell for less. So he's actually among the weakest. He's actually up here at the top. So he's going to show up here, $3.70 for 10 contracts. Another trade comes in to buy 4 at $3.10. This trader is the strongest of all, at least so far, so he's going to get to go to the front of the line. He's going to get stacked up here, and it's going to show a limit of $3.10 for 4 contracts. Now also notice the order that we're looking at here is regardless of the number of contracts. Yes, this trader down here was bidding for more contracts, as was this guy at 7, and that's completely irrelevant. If you even had 1 contract here, but you were the highest bidder, you go to the front of the line. A new order comes in to sell 6 at $3.40. This is a seller. He's going to go over here somewhere, but what about the price? Well, he's willing to sell for the least, at least so far, so he gets to go to the front of the line, again, regardless of the number of contracts. So we're going to see a limit of $3.40 for 6 contracts. And this process just continues. Of course, it's going to get stacked up quickly, potentially with tens of thousands of orders in a matter of seconds. But hopefully this helps you to understand how the limit book works. So what you're looking at on your broker's platform is the highest bid, in this example $3.10, and the lowest offer, 340. This is actually what's called the inside quote. This is what you're looking at on your broker's platform. So just because you see these two prices, 310 and 340, doesn't mean that they're the only prices in the market. There's lots of them out here in the wings. You're just not seeing them. Now you'll also see a pair of numbers. So in this example, you might see 4x6. What is this? Well, this is what's called the size. And it's usually listed directly below your quotes, below your bid and offer, or off to the side. And what you're looking at is the number of contracts, or shares in the case of stock, at each of these prices. So the first number, 4 in this example, corresponds to the bid. The second number, 6, corresponds to the asking price. So this 4 is coming from this trade right here, and this 6 is coming from this trader over here. So just by looking at these three numbers, I can tell that the highest bid is 310, lowest offer is 340. I can tell that this person is bidding for 4 contracts at 310, and I can tell that this person is willing to sell 6 contracts at 340. That's the bid, ask, and size. So if you wanted to buy contracts right now, you could buy at 340. Why? Because these are sellers, and we have a buyer matched with a seller. If you currently had a contract and you wanted to sell it, you could sell it for 310 right now. Why? Because this is a buyer. And again, you would have a buyer matched with a seller. So that should make a little more sense why when some traders say, well, the asking price is the price where you can buy. Well, that's true, but the reason is that this price is coming from a seller. And conversely, if we look at this price and say, this is the price where you can sell, that's true, but it's because this price is coming from a buyer. So during the market, this is going to get very active. It does not stay static like this. So let's say that a new trader comes in right now to buy one at 320. What happens? Well, he's now submitting a stronger bid. He's going to go to the front of the line. What's going to happen to our quote? It's going to get moved. We now have a bid of 310, asking price of 340. We have a 30-cent spread. Watch what's going to happen. He's now going to get posted as the highest bidder, only for one contract, but we've narrowed the spread to 20 cents. Another trader comes in to sell one at 330. What happens? This trader is now even stronger than this person. He is willing to sell for the least, so he's going to get posted down here at the front of the line, and because he's posting a lower offer price, he's going to get posted here. He's going to narrow the spread again. So we're going to see his order, 330 for one contract, get posted here. So now the quote has moved to 320 to 330, only 10 cents wide, but a size of 1 by 1. So this happens every single second of the day when the markets are open. You're going to see these things, especially in a very active market, kind of just flicker in front of your eyes. So the main thing to understand is that when you're looking at the bid and the offer, they are the inside quote from a much bigger limit order book. And then the size simply tells you how many contracts or how many shares are available at each of those prices. So again, as a recap, when you're looking at your quotes, when you see the bid, understand that those are buyers over there. This happens to be the highest bidder at 320. When you're looking at the asking price, understand those are sellers. And right now we have somebody willing to sell at the lowest price of 330. And so again, that's why if you are considering to buy this contract, you would want to look at the asking price, because you would then be matched with a seller. We could get that trade executed. If you were looking to sell this contract right now, you should be looking at the bid price, because you would be a seller matched with a buyer. So let's wrap up by going back over to the E-Trade platform, take a look at our stock quote and options, and see if it makes more sense about the bid, ask, and the size. Okay, so now we're back into the E-Trade platform. We'll stick with Microsoft. Let's look over here to the right. There's the bid and the ask. So remember, if the asking price represents sellers, if I click on this, you would think that it's going to generate a buy ticket. And right there you can see that little pop-up window giving you a reminder, a little mouse hint, that this is where you would click if you were trying to buy the share. So let's do that. And down below, there it is, it's a buy. Now, of course, I can change it here, But the point is that if I click on the asking price, it's assuming that you're trying to buy the shares. All right, let's go back up to the quote. We see the bid is 308.91. So these are buyers, so right there you can see that it popped up a little sell box. It's telling you that if you're trying to sell these shares, you should be referencing the bid price because, again, these are buyers. So if I click here, we should see a sell ticket come up. And there it is. Defaults you to a sell because we clicked on the bid. As before, I could certainly change that, but the default is going to be a sell because we clicked on the bid. So over here, it gives you the numbers again, and there's the size, 308.91, with a size of 5. Now, when we're dealing with shares of stock, a size of 5 really means 500 share lot. So this is really 500 shares that are being bid for at 308.91. And over here on the asking price, that 9 means there's really 900 shares that are being offered at 309. So let's shut this down, go back up to the top, and there is the size as well, 5 by 9. First number corresponds to the bid, second number corresponds to the asking price. So now very quickly, I can see I've got a 9-cent spread. If I want to buy, I'm going to be looking at about 309 to buy the shares. If I want to sell, I'm looking at about 308.91. And how many shares are available at each of those prices? 500 on the bid and 900 on the offer. So I hope that helps you to understand the bid, the ask, and the size, because there are 3 important terms whenever you are placing trades.